No signal. Okay, too much work.
I'm here to get you free. Let's go. Hold up. I'm here to bring you out. Let's go. Everybody, let's get out of here. Wait. I gotta stretch my legs. Yeah, come on, come on.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, come with me. Follow me to freedom, guys. Shut up.
Ah. Aia.
Never really noticed how noisy it is down here.
So crazy. Ah, I didn't see that fucking dog there.
I'm here to break you out. Let's go. Let's move it.
Oh my god. I'm very close to finish, so oh, why it didn't work? Kurwa mać. That was fucking like O- ja pierdolę, what a delay, kurwa mać.
Adbotrix said Botrix has correctly joined the channel. Adbotrix said Botrix has correctly joined the channel. TT_Milkers 420 just redeemed fart reverb. TT_Milkers 420 just redeemed fa hhhh. TT_Milkers 420 said lol.
What do I have to do? The fuck? I'm down? Cover the climb the loading floor. Ah, here. This game is actually... I would say this game is pretty like I like it. It's just the game... the game... I don't know, the game sucks and it's also like cool at the same fucking time. It's really hard. It's really hard to like this game. No kurwa jebana. Cocksuckers. Aha! A nonsense. It's that ape guy. Ah, fuck. I hate this game. I love this game and I hate it. The fucking mechanics here are fucking trash. The only thing is like the word and the story. The word and the story is like the only thing I'm interested. Like the whole game is fucking annoying. Are you joking?
TT underscore milkers 420 said, okay, I need to go to sleep. Have fun, sleepy face emoji.
Okay, good night. Thanks for dropping a by, man. Oh, for fuck's sake. Ajajaj, no kurwa, chamstwo. No ja. Kurwa.
At Soto's Super Saiyan 4 asks, hello Jito my friend, how are you?
Hello, how are you doing, Sotoroku? Long time I didn't see you. How is everything? You good? Kurwa mać.
At Soto's Super Saiyan 4 said I am very good bro.
Nice. Ajajaj, no kurwa. And this part is so annoying. Ja pierdolę, tas. No way, it's... Ja pierdolę, this is gonna be so fucking annoying. Yes! Oh my god, this fucking section is so... I hate this shit, like... It should be 5 minutes of work and not this bullshit that I have to go through. Przestać się. No, kurwa, because of these fuckers I don't see. Switch to this.
Hold it right there.
How much more?
There it is. Free.
Perfect. Oh shit. Kurwa, that was the most annoying thing I ever see in my life.
Brewers is all we got to keep the heat up and reach the brewery. But we're using up the last of our stash, Abe. I hope you got a plan, Abe. Abe, you got a plan, right? How dare anyone question my recipe? It has never failed us. Never. It must be Mullock. Who else would be spreading these fake rumors, these conspiracy theories? What?
Sorry to bother you again.
What is it?
There's two
To what?
Clucking, sir. They're kind of freaking out, pissed off and all, and they're demanding you meet with them.
Demanding? You tell them they can wait. Malik, I know he's behind this.
Faster, Al! We gotta go faster!
I'm going fast as I can, Colby. Fast as I can. Babe, open up, babe.
So much for our heart to bear.
Did I get the bad ending? There's multiple endings.
Babe, you gotta help us. We need more food now. Now. Without more food, we'll never make it inside that brewery.
I killed it!
But you did your best, right, Abe?
My karma, it killed me. I got it.
That's the ending.
What the heck? No, not the brewery!
Oh, wow.
This is bad. They're gonna frame it on me again.
Boss, they annihilated the place. And look at those pipelines. They're on fire and spreading. What are we gonna do now, boss?
We head for the Yemens.
The Yemens. We're really gonna run for it, boss?
Nothing left for us here. Except convictions and firing squads.
Aw, man. Now you'll never get that luxury airship you've been dreaming of all your life. Not even a crappy one. But, boss, I didn't mean to speak out. No, boss. No!
I want to have positive karma to know the good ending. Ooh. Oh my god. No, I don't want to. No way. I think I don't. Oh yeah.
So, it's, Toby, right? I never seen you around the farm before we busted out. What were you, a train engineer or something? Never heard of him with docking could drive a train before.
That should do it. No, not really. Well, not at all, actually. I work down in the basement, working the boilers.
Wait, so you're a boiler mud? Then how can you be driving a train? Oh, leaving it, guy. Jeez, I knew I should have stuck with Abe.
No, at least I hope not. I think it's fine. Everything looks how I imagined it, and, well, we're moving, aren't we?
Imagined it? Well, that ain't filling me with confidence here, Mud. Do you actually know what you're dealing with?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I used to sneak out of the boiler room back at the farm now and then. I'd head over to shipping and just watch the trains. One day, watching them, I sneaked into the office to get a better look, and just sitting there was a train operations manual. So I guess I swiped it, and I've been reading it ever since.
Right, so you never drove a train, you just read about it.
Well, yeah, but it makes sense, you know?
Not at all, but doesn't all have to trust you. Seeing reading a book is a lot more than I've done. You know, I had no idea there was all that going on below Rupture Farms. I don't think I ever even met anyone ever worked the boilers.
Hardly anybody did. I was mostly alone down there. Everyone else was way up above. I was just me and whatever security was patrolling. I think they kept me down there because,
Well, hey, it must have been something when Abe showed up to save you then, huh?
Abe, he never showed up.
What? Then how are you here? How'd you get out of the farm when it went kaboom?
Well, I escaped.
But how, Toby? How did you escape?
It happened when Abe and Big Face first zapped the farm. Oh, I can fix this. I can fix this.
I don't think I want to play this game more. But if there is, unless there is one more level. Let's check it out together. A little bit higher. We got okay. Ending.
That ape guy, he's there alright. And by the sounds of it, that brewery's getting wrecked. But whose limo blimps are those on the heliopad? That one's Morga's. It's that idiot Ashley's.
So, what do we do now, boss?
Get us above the place. We need to find out what's going on.
Whoa, how you thinking we gonna pull that off? Boss? But boss, there's gotta be a better plan.
It'll work. Now all you gotta do is sit down, sneak in, find Brewmaster, spy on what's up, report back to me. It's easy. Do it.
If you say so, boss. Easy. So that's the guy with no car.
Was so much of the game.
Morga, I thought the bone harvesting business was treating you well. We were fools to ever have believed in his brew. Or in him. Wait here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you bet. And to what bad quama do I owe that brings the two of you here?
Brewmaster, your recipe is a disaster. We have lost our factories, and we demand to know how you intend to compensate us.
You dare accuse me?
It's your brew that has failed us.
My recipe is flawless. Do you inbreds not see that my brew is under attack?
As were our operations. We barely escaped our own premises alive. And only one day after Mullock's farm disaster. Isn't that curious? And now you're suffering uprising as well.
You pathetic pawns. Don't you see we've been betrayed? This is Mullock's doing. His slaves didn't die in the farm. his own tracks, and right now, he's attacking my drool, blaming it all on the imaginary Abe guy.
Hey, boss, you catching this?
I knew they'd blame it on me. Did you bribe some backup?
Even more than I expected. Turns out those two idiots been sniffing their own security slingies out of OT and bonuses. Now they hate these clowns as much as you do, boss.
Good. Very good. You know what to do. Now do it.
I do. We all do. But first, we need some assurances.
What kind of assurances?
Well, for one, I needs to know that my bonus is secure. And these guys want to fly to the Yemens and hang out with us until all this blows over.
Nothing else?
They want to be made whole on all the bonuses they got scammed out of. They do this. They want to know you're gonna make it up to them.
You tell them we're in this together.
Okay, I'll tell them, boss. Who's your daddy?
And now you can see my security is getting hammered out there. You both brought security slings? How many can you contribute?
I've half a dozen fierce and loyal sliggies, all awaiting my command.
That's what he thinks.
I've got as many awaiting my command.
Not anymore, we ain't. Oh my God. Help it.
Well then, if we execute our forces with precision, we'll thwart Mullock's plan, quash his fake rebellion, and expose the fraudulent fiend for all of our financiers to see.
And there's my lieutenant and his team now. And there's my sergeant-at-arms with his shock team just in time.
Good. Now that you're all here, come forth and get your orders. Well, what are you waiting for?
Hey guys, you wanna get possessed by that supernatural freak wreaking havoc out there? Or are we flying to the Yemens and sipping frosty paladas on a human being?
No, it is.
chasing us.
Well, we could hardly believe we really did what we really did today. Maybe they can't either.
So what else did you learn down there with that keeper?
So much, but we've got a mother.
All critters got mothers.
No, I mean, we all have the same mother. All of us, from Rupture Farms.
Is that even possible?
It has to be because that's what happened.
But why was she...
I don't know why she left us, but I do know where she is.
alive? But maybe were all told our mothers were dead.
They lied to us about everything, and she's not dead. But she's just...
She's what, Abe?
she's in Lollipop.
I don't even know no one who's ever even been to Lollipop.
A city filled with gluts. It just ain't right.
We gotta find her, because we need to know why she left us in that horrible place. And why she gave me these.
Faster out! We gotta go.
I didn't mean.
This video is sponsored by you and your incredibly generous support on Patreon. I can't remember the last time a game left me as conflicted, took me on such an emotional journey as Oddworld Soulstorm, with such intense peaks and valleys and feelings ranging from intrigue and fascination to frustration and outright confusion, making me question my preconceived notions about an entire series and genre that I guess I just have to talk you through to try and make sense of myself. Strap in, this is going to be a long one. For context, my relationship with the Oddworld series could be characterized by a kind of distant respect. The visual design of these games is utterly unique, and honestly, I could listen to series co-creator Lorne Lanning talk forever about his original vision for the Oddworld quintology. Even if it hasn't been fully realized, I still very much appreciate the ambition. That is, even if my prevailing memory of the series from countless hours spent with it in my youth was of a kind of clunkiness in its control. Like many I've talked to about the game, I thought that there was maybe a reason this particular brand of quote-unquote cinematic platformer hadn't quite made the jump to the modern gaming landscape. All of this is to say that I think I liked the idea of these games more than I liked the thought of actually going back and replaying them. As it turns out, the reality of things is completely different from what I first thought, but believe me, we'll come on to that. Essentially, it was that respect for the vision of the series that still left me pretty excited to check out Soulstorm when that first trailer hit. There was something triumphant about the grand return of this series, and my excitement only grew when I found out that this full game would be given out to PlayStation Plus subscribers for free on PS5 at launch. Maybe this series will get the attention it probably deserves, I thought. It's not necessarily the forward progression in the quintology I was hoping for, instead functioning as a reimagining of the second game, Abe's Exodus, but it's the Exodus the team at Oddworld Inhabitants wanted to create, given that the 1998 sequel was originally rushed out in a bafflingly short period of 9 months at the publisher's behest. Plus, it now has the lick of paint the series probably needed, and a whole bunch of people who will get to play it, only for Soulstorm to release and be met with what felt like complete radio silence, with some complaints here and there about the game's technical state. I, having a pretty high tolerance for that kind of thing, however, was more than willing to go along for the ride and try to see the vision underneath the unvarnished exterior. And honestly, for the first few hours, I was enjoying myself a fair bit. Sure, it was occasionally frustrating to have to load a checkpoint if something went awry with the enemy AI, for instance, a frustration only compounded when the checkpoint itself would be bugged, but you know, there is an ambition on show here. This is a massive world they they've created, even if you only see it from a 2.5D perspective. And crucially, it's one that really sets out to make you feel utterly tiny by comparison, like you could be crushed at any second. I first noticed this when I was ducking behind cover, trying to figure out the best way forward, but the onslaught of slig fire from the distance started to chip away at what little sanctuary I had, forcing me to act fast, because I had no idea when it was going to crumble completely. And when I had previously thought about this type of game, Soulstorm's cinematic platforming lineage, the thing that came to mind was rigidity. But here we have a level of unpredictability that really forces you to keep moving, because you really aren't safe anywhere for very long. And this unpredictability led to moments where I found that just because the game was on a set linear path, that there was maybe more than one way to get through a situation. Like when I was spotted by a flying slig, but I couldn't possess it thanks to an anti-charm sensor, kicking off a tense chase where I had to get him just out of reach of the sensor and fire off a charm as quickly as I could, so that it ended up shocking the slig as opposed to me, giving me a few precious seconds to untie my restrained Mudokon friend and bolt past my now unconscious foe. Moments like this gave off a frantic energy, a mixture of clever workarounds and not really knowing how I made it through each given scenario. And all of this seemed to match up pretty well with the character of Abe himself, a character whose story Soulstorm places a much greater focus on than you might expect. I was initially pretty impressed with this focus on getting Abe's perspective on things, on making him more human. What was previously a fairly simple setup of Abe being told to go sort out the Gluckins digging up his ancestors' bones, with Abe merely responding okie dokie and going on his merry way, here the setup is way more solemn. I always had in my mind that Abe was just a bit of a goofball, especially looking the way he does, merely bumbling his way through situations to largely comic effect. Here though, he's framed less as simply the unlikely hero and more as an unwilling one. He has the general desire to help his fellow Mudokons, but he's consistently bombarded from all directions with these vague notions of how he's the leader these people need, he's the hero that has to save everyone. And the game goes to great lengths to highlight that Abe doesn't really have any idea what to do with that huge weight of responsibility, leading to some harrowing moments of Abe's distress as he tells a dying Mudokon he has no idea how he can help, just awkwardly apologizing as this guy slowly perishes in front of him. It's strange to see a character as outwardly cartoonish as Abe fall to the ground in tears. I'd always remembered Oddworld as a dark series underneath the juvenile humor, but Soulstorm was definitely foregrounding that oppressively grim tone. And this tone initially is reflected pretty well in the gameplay, because after playing you can see why Abe would be so exhausted. With the game's levels forming one singular trip without interruption, without even the separate screens of older titles to break up the puzzles, there's a relentless quality to this whole journey. That feeling that you can never catch a break here. It all just continues, at points seemingly endlessly. Some of these incredibly long winding levels can take up to an hour to beat, and the tension is pretty constant, only increasing as the game progresses. It's to the point that Soulstorm, to me, ended up giving off the vibe of a comedic survival horror more than anything else. It took me longer than most games to just get an ending here, and honestly, I've not got them all yet, because Soulstorm is tough. Sure, the old Abe games revolve around trial and error to a certain extent, but Soulstorm goes further by gating off fairly vast amounts of content behind a surprisingly high karma threshold, the game's morality meter. To get anything beyond the absolute worst ending in the game, you have to go pretty far out of your way to play as pacifistically as possible, rescuing pretty much all the Mudokons you can search for. And honestly, there's a part of me that totally gets why that is. It would be difficult, but doable for Abe to just go through this whole gauntlet himself, but it takes on a whole new level of challenge when you've got to think about guiding your friends through all this stuff too. It's not enough to simply jump over that obstacle when it's clearly safe for you to do so. You have to take into account the delayed reaction of your fellow Mudokons and take a bit more personal risk to ensure that they all make it across in time. And there was a period when I saw people complaining about the bugs that I was viewing the constant escort missions here as if I were playing a Fumito Ueda game or something, lightly excusing their inconsistent responsiveness as these Mudokons simply possessing their own minds, their own ways of doing things. You end up forced to make these constant decisions about the safety of the many versus the few. Do I risk my own life and the lives of these many Mudokons for the sake of saving one more? Is it possible for me to save all these people without unintentionally leaving some behind in their grim life of slavery? These are the kinds of questions at the heart of Abe's new, more vulnerable character. In a world as oppressive as this, Soulstorm exemplifies that it can be really damn hard to do the right thing, to be the one person standing up for and trying to unite your fellow man. A message that's potentially pretty resonant given what are essentially the labor struggles consistently at the heart of the series' identity. But you know, that's just it. It was thinking about that consistency across the entire series when I realized that I should go back and play the older games, mainly for footage, but also to confirm the way I remembered them playing. And while I was talking about all that stuff with Soulstorm's dark tone and how it manifests in gameplay, a lot of you were probably thinking, wait, isn't all that what the old games did anyway? And you'd be totally right. Soulstorm portraying the struggle of being the good you want to see in the world is nothing new. And what's more, it's not better either. I ended up playing through way more of both Odyssey and Exodus than I intended to, because man, those games still rule. It's easy to look at this footage and see a clunky, rigid old cinematic platformer with dated visuals. I mean, pre-rendered backgrounds, come on. But the fact is, these games have aged remarkably well, far outclassing their contemporaries, and also controlling way better than Soulstorm. Because of their structural rigidity, the fact that these older titles are on a strict 2D plane, and each environment is broken up into distinct screens, means that everything, every platform, every obstacle is super easily defined and readable. Once you've figured out the carefully constructed puzzle in each of these densely packed challenge rooms, it's clear at every stage exactly what you need to do to execute on that strategy. And it's this clarity that stops the intricate, lengthy animations getting in the way or feeling actually clunky, as much as they just highlight how fragile, how inherently unheroic Abe is. By comparison, Soulstorm, lacking that clarity, that consistency of control and enemy behavior, started to feel more and more awkward. I found myself questioning what the hell even killed me in some of the later levels, wondering how I was even meant to get past certain encounters, because the cluster of enemies and obstacles haphazardly thrown on screen seemed to move without rhyme or reason, and so I would just flail around, hoping I could exploit body animations for long enough that I could get out unscathed. What's more, far from feeling baited, the pre-renders in Odyssey and Exodus allowed the developers to get really buck wild with the visual design, the kind of thing the phrase every frame a painting was built for. The further you delve into the industrial hellscape of the original games, the grimier it all gets. There's not much light, there's blood, rotting carcasses everywhere. It's almost like you can smell it. And it's here I realized Oddworld has always been a punishingly dark series first and foremost. At first I found it a little odd that people were so upset about the removal of something as silly as the fart button, but I began to think that these games needed that kind of levity to sugar the pill a bit on what was already an incredibly bleak situation, in a story that makes no bones about its focus on worker exploitation and the horrors of industrial greed. You know, the recap in the original Abe's Exodus to catch players up literally opens with a joke about how the players were probably too cheap to just buy the original. It's funny, but it also lines up with the game's themes. In some ways it actually heightens their impact when you've been chuckling away at the goofy dudes farting and fighting, only to be struck with the stark reminder that they're actual slaves with their eyes sewn shut so they can't see that they're mining the bones of their ancestors as ingredients for soft drinks the executives would keep them addicted to so they could be controlled indefinitely. The older games managed to take that crushing darkness and weave in a more generally boisterous sense of humor throughout every screen of the game, without diluting any of the real anger and compassion driving the creation of these stories. A unique personality that the completely dry loading screens in Soulstorm Soulstorm, for example, distinctly lack, and you can maybe start to see where I'm coming from here. It was easy at first to justify Soulstorm's rough exterior and design idiosyncrasies as interesting quirks, necessary if you're going to bring that style of platformer to the modern age. You know, they were always like this, until I went back to those older games and found that none of that was the case at all, and that these games were always just really good. And from that point of realization, more and more of the experience of this most recent title began to unravel for me. It shifted my view of Soulstorm's Mudokons from that kind of autonomous being with their own thoughts and reactions to things to just straight up busted. The GameSpeak functionality in prior titles was simple, but it did allow for complex states of being for different kinds of Mudokons. They were erratic, but they were totally in your control, completely responsive if you could just remember the right commands to press at the right time. A blind Mudokon required a different approach to one that was infected with laughing gas, for instance. It gave the Mudokons actual personality. There were equal parts humor and sadness tied into those little interactions and monosyllabic back and forths, because ultimately you were the one driving them, creating the comedy. In Soulstorm, there's zero actual challenge to controlling the Mudokons. You can tell them to move and wait, and in between, there's just the frustrating dice roll of whether they're actually going to move along with you. They're all the same. The complexities of GameSpeak replaced with the same repetitive quips playing over and over again, whose audio is horribly balanced to boot. And don't get me started on the sections where the screen will just zoom out to such a crazy degree that it's impossible to even read what's happening. Where are the enemies here? Where am I? You know, sure, I get it. It's hard to do the right thing, but it becomes literally impossible when these idiots get stuck in a wall texture. I'm not a bad person for trying and failing to find any way to free them. And with the high Karma standards for finding and saving all these Mudokons, the developers are clearly banking on most players having to replay levels, which ends up surfacing a problem with the new looting and crafting system. Obviously, you can't just have players breaking the game's puzzle and stealth encounters, going from level to level with a backpack bulging with mines and projectiles they crafted. So even if you're playing through the game sequentially, Abe's inventory is arbitrarily reduced to naught at the start of each level. There's no explanation given. Like, I saw where he came from. What happened between there and here that he lost everything? All of this speaks to the fact that for all the ambition that's on show in some areas, other aspects of the game's design come off as woefully undercooked. The crazy situation I described earlier, where I had to react to a perilous situation and came out on top, was countered later on by a similar scenario, where I had to get to the other end of a room guarded by several snipers and a flying slig that would spawn after one of the various motion sensors had been triggered, hit a lever, and make my way back to get to the level below. This seems incredibly tough, but what if I just possessed the flying slig and bypassed it all, hitting the lever without even having to move from my current spot? And my thoughts about this was a clever workaround turned to bafflement as I banged up against an actual invisible wall. Moments like this made it seem absurd that those older games could be called rigid and clunky when the techniques Soulstorm uses to railroad you along its strict path seem like so much of an afterthought. And this is the emotional journey I've been on with Soulstorm. It's been legitimately hard for me to process my thoughts here, where an initially compelling experience whose relative radio silence felt off to me began to crumble as each block of the game's design toppled into another, each flaw affecting something else and generating an entirely different flaw. And to be clear, it brings me no pleasure to tear something like this down. As negative as this all might seem, I don't hate Soulstorm. It's still Oddworld. It's still intriguing in its own way. It's just a marked step down from its predecessors released back in the 90s, the style of game this was meant to bring into the modern age. And at the end, I'm left with a game that I really want to like, that there is stuff to like about, but instead the predominant feeling is just that in the future, I hope Oddworld inhabitants decides to move forward with their vision rather than looking back. Some of the highlights of this series are found in the unpredictable twists on genres as found in games like Stranger's Wrath. It's just that the kind of game that Soulstorm represents has already been done far better in the past. So I hope you all enjoyed this piece on Oddworld Soulstorm. If you liked the video, help me out by hitting the corresponding button and subscribing, as well as checking out the podcast in the description below. I'm also going to be streaming a lot more in the near future.
I know, agree. There is extra level, kurwa, I don't know.
Left eye activated. Next activate right eye. Secret ingredients now being added to recipe. Congratulations, a brand new recipe is now mixing for pipeline distribution. The new and improved brew will be automatically distributed to partner factories.
I should go. Yeah, I'm going. Good night, folks. See you tomorrow.